Hello, guys. Okay, I think I'm live right now. Hello, guys. So finally, the the border is open from next week. Some, of course, there's some circumstance, but there's a news came up right now that the government finally officially announced for the reopening the border for students and workers for short-term business travel and long-term business travel, and it's not in English, and I want to make it clear everything for you guys that I have a lot of questions, like comments, which I took on the which I took this. I mean, upload the video today in the morning, and that time the official announcement was not yet, but finally around 4 p.m. the Ministry of Foreign Affairs announced for what's gonna how it looks like for the reopening the border. So, and it's still not in English, so yeah, still there's the English side is not yet. So, but I gonna walk through this Japanese this disclosure, and I'll answer some of the questions, and let's wrap it up. So, to sum it up, it said that for all the new entry for the non-Japanese people are be accepted for short-term business, long-term stayers. So it said that you can think that this is except tourist visit, all the visa status is open from next Monday. And what it say that first, this is about the border regulation, okay? And in November 5th, the government decided to change the border restriction. Okay, first it said that people who have vaccine certification, it's about the people who have a vaccine certification, and it said that 受け入れ責任者, it means a person who sponsor you, for example, school or the company. And if you have the vaccine certificate, after you enter Japan, the fourth day, you can, you can change your activities. So it said that before entering Japan, 14 days, you have, for there's some region that the foreign ministers said, but for example, for school and the company, if they submit the paper and some documents to those for example, foreign minister or the if you have a vaccine passport, and if you have a vaccine certificate, and if this sponsor like school or company submit the paper, and during your quarantine 14 days, and the third day, if you take a test and the result is negative, you can get out from the quarantine. You say that, okay? but the sponsor, like school and business company, have to make a paper for you. Okay, and it's a lot of things. And second, this point, it is set up for the new entry for foreigners. And it say that for people who lives in Japan, for your sponsor, like company or family or school, if they submit the paper, okay, and for this one, this is for short-term business travel, business trip, or for short-term workers, and for the long-term visitors. So I think this will include the workers, dependents, and other status except tourist. Okay, so but you need the Japanese in Japan, you need a sponsor to submit the paper and to be responsible for you. Okay, so those people can get into Japan. And for the quarantine, if you are vaccinated, after 3 days when you in Japan, if you take a test, and you can get out if the test is negative, the result is negative, but you have certain the sponsor have to submit some papers. Okay, so what is the web address? Let me put it here. Can you read the Japanese? I put it here. All right, so do you have any questions? So far it's not translated in English, so only Japanese. But long-term workers, short-term workers, spouse, I think the spouse visa, if the person in Japan who can sponsor you. So if you're not vaccinated, you have to quarantine 14 days. And if you're vaccinated, if you submit some paper and if your test is negative, you can get out from the quarantine after 3 days. Okay, do you have other questions? Things good? And if you click this one, the PDF gonna pops up and all the detailed rules are written. And it's kind of complicated because it depends on where you're from, and what kind of vaccine you have. But they say that people who have the vaccine certificate have to be approved by the Japanese government. And so I think the AstraZeneca, Moderna, and Pfizer, only 3. So if you have other vaccine, you have to, no matter you're vaccinated, you have to quarantine 14 days. Okay. Quarantine rules for students. So, it doesn't say for the students or the long term or short term. So, the basic is 14-day quarantines. Okay, quarantine. But if you have a vaccine certificate, and if your sponsor submits some papers, and if you tested negative after 3 days entering Japan, in specific reason you can get out from this quarantine. Okay. So let me answer some of the question. My girlfriend is Japanese. Is there any way that she sent me the invitation and could? I think your girlfriend has to do some paperwork and make some reason that gonna invite you as not as tourist. So and next question. So if we got the COE this year, does that mean we only can enter until Japan, but until January, but we can get the visa before that, or does that mean that we have to wait till January to get the visa and then? So it depends on your sponsor. So if your sponsor wanted you to come to January, your visa gonna get issued. It all depends on your sponsor in Japan, so school or the company. I didn't get my spouse visa COE from last 6 months. I am waiting. Why so late? You can ask to the embassy. This applies to all the country, but some specific places, country, you have to consider. And still, let me check the country. Um, so it for the specific area, this is written all about for your shorten your quarantine. So no matter where you from, you have to quarantine 14 days. But if you can submit your vaccine certificate, which approved in Japan, and if you test negative, you can get off quarantine in 4 days. Okay, and others 14 days you have to quarantine. Okay, so next is how long for Sinovac vaccine? Sinovac 14 days. Any updates? No long-term business. Long-term business travel is accepted. Malaysia student, yes, welcome. So for tourists, no, I'm sorry, still. So this is for the press release from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan. I put the URL. And as I reading this Japanese sentence, I can interpret that for this part, sponsored in Japan, gonna submit the documents about you. They gonna admit for this one, this commercial, the working short term 3 months, and the long term status. So for this implies workers, students, dependents, I think. So it only say long term stayers. Okay. So, but it's clear that it say that it's not for tourists. Okay, it's clear. Engineer CEO enter if your company sponsor you, you can get in. So ask your company. Yes, UNO's vaccine certification from your country, but the vaccine have to be that it's approved in Japan. So it's currently Pfizer, Moderna, and AstraZeneca, and PCR negative test in the 3 days after you get in 3 days in Japan. Okay. Our trainees from Philippines are also, yes, if your company and or school accept you, sponsor you. Okay. Are there any questions? Good. So this was announced at around 4 p.m. So I think it will be in English soon. This is the official news. This website is on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan. So Uno. So summary is the government. I mean, they're gonna start to accept the documents from November 8th, 10 a.m. So you need a sponsor for inviting you to Japan, right? For school or company, and they're gonna make a document for you and submit the papers, and then after that, I think you're gonna bring the paper, and you can get you're gonna bring the paper to the embassy in your country, and they're gonna give you the visa. Okay. So did you understand? So to get your visa, your sponsor gonna make some announcements. So if you're students, your school gonna give you what kind of documents you have to submit, and the school gonna submit the paper to some Japanese border control or somewhere, and after that you're gonna get the visa, and then you can come in. Okay. You cannot come by yourself. You need a sponsor to come. Do you have any questions? Good. So I hope I can. There's some English news. Will be up soon from the Japan Times or Nikkei Asia or whatever. But finally, officially the Japanese government announced that they're gonna start to reopen, and those documents will be accepted from November 8th. So, in this weekend, ask your school, ask your company who sponsor you to bringing you to Japan, what kind of documents I need, when they're gonna start to submit the documents, when I can get in. Okay. The quarantine, I think you have to pay by yourself. Akira Hayashi-san, I got my CO in mid-September. Can I go before January? So it depends on your sponsor. Ask to your sponsor when they want you. Okay. Yep. So your language school or Japanese language school or your company gonna decide when you can come. They're gonna make the documents for you. Okay. People who have a COE. Okay. other questions? Do you want me to repeat it again? People who join later. So I'll repeat the same thing. So today, Japan government officially announced at this Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan page. It said that the new border restriction was decided. Okay, and first it said that people who have the vaccine certificate, they're gonna change the policy for people who have a vaccine certificate after they get into Japan. Okay, this applies to everybody who get into Japan, Japanese and non-Japanese people, residents or visitors. Okay, and the second part is for the new entry. So currently it say that all the new entry is halted, but if the sponsor in Japan submits the paper and documents for you, Japan government will admit entering for business, working in short term. Short term means under 3 months, and for the long term visitors. And this long-term visitors implies, I think, workers, students, dependents. But it doesn't say for the tourists. So it's easy for me. Things to make me easy is except tourists, you can come into Japan, but you need a sponsor in Japan. Okay? Okay, let me answer some question. Jason, we have to get the visa ourselves from the embassy. I think so, but the sponsor in Japan gonna submit those paper, and I think after that you're gonna get this paper and go to the embassy and get the visa. How many days it will take to receive visa after apply? Ask the embassy. I go to George University and my school started in September. Do you think that my visa will be approved before January? So Akira Hayashi-san, it depends on how your George University gonna submit the paper for your sponsor about under this scheme, and it depends how fast your visa depends on the embassy. You guys have other questions? Good. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. I think after this, a lot of news is gonna pop up. The English news will pop up, so please gather the information by yourself, and also ask your sponsor in Japan, companies, school. Okay. So how many days for getting visa? Please ask the embassy. I don't know how many days it will take. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for watching. Good luck. And I'll keep updating this Japan ban information thing. For still that it's not open for tourists, and this quarantine measure right now, no matter your you have vaccinated, you have to quarantine at least 3 days. So I think the Japanese government will gradually ease the this restriction. So I'll keep updating those information. But okay, so what will be the ratio of giving visa from the embassy? Please tell us. I don't know what what the ratio is. It depends on your it depends personally, so I cannot tell the ratio or the percentage the possibility that you can get the visa. Okay, but congratulations for students, workers. It was a very long time waiting for opening the border, but finally the good news came, and finally the government made the official announcement today. Okay. All right, so guys, thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe the channel. Please thumbs up. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Take care.